Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we've got another UFC preview and predictions, our first one of the new year, and the UFC starts back up here in Abu Dhabi on Fight Island. And yeah, the UFC's on ABC, and that's crazy. It really is. And we've got a really good main event between two top 5 featherweights in Max Holloway and Calvin Kattar, and it's a really good 12 fight card. But before I get into the video, I made an MMA channel. So yeah, we have a MMA exclusive channel. It's called Greedo MMA, and I'll be posting the preview and predictions on both Greedo Plays and the Greedo MMA channel, but I'm gonna do more pure MMA content on the other channel, so that's just a heads up. The first link in the description down below will be the link to the Greedo MMA channel, so please check that one out. Please subscribe to that channel as well as this one as well. Alright, let's get into the preview and predictions. So we're starting off here in the featherweight division between Jacob Kilburn and Austin Lingo. Let's start here with Austin Lingo. So, last fight in the UFC, he did lose to Youssef Zalal. That was on UFC 247. John Jones, Dominic Reyes did lose that fight by unanimous decision. Before that, he was fighting LFA, fought most of his career in LFA other than one fight back in 2018. But yeah, he went 6-0 in LFA, and all of his wins, man, are in the first round, except for one. Of course, in LFA, he had a knockout in 25 seconds, submission in 25 seconds, knockout in 13 seconds. He won a crazy streak to finish out his LFA run, but then he ran into Youssef Zalal, which is by no means an easy fight for his first time in the UFC, but Lingo was a big favorite in that Youssef Zalal fight. It was a big upset. That was Zalal's first fight in the UFC as well, but he had like 2 losses coming in the UFC as well. He beat Jamie Hernandez, then he got the Lingo fight, and yeah, Austin Lingo was a big favorite in that one. He was undefeated. Zalal had 2 losses, but Youssef Zalal came in there, controlled that fight, controlled the pace on the feet, and won that fight against Lingo. So yeah, Austin Lingo coming into this fight, record of 7-1. Of course, that first fight in the UFC did not go his way, but he's pretty good on the ground, and he's got a lot of power on the feet. So hopefully he's going to try to go 1-1 in the UFC. And he's taking on Jacob Kilburn in this one. Kilburn's last fight was a loss to Billy Quarantillo. Again, not an easy fight for your first fight in the UFC. That was over in December 2019, so we took the entire year of 2020 off. That was on Overeem and Rosenstruik in DC. Of course, he lost that fight to Billy Q. And then before that, Kilburn went on a 2-fight winning streak over in Island Fights, and then before that, he fought Bobby Moffitt on Dana White's Contender Series. He did lose that fight to Moffitt, and Bobby Moffitt just destroyed him on the ground. It was a pure mismatch, that fight, honestly, and Bobby Moffitt got his UFC contract, went 0-3, and now he's trying to fight Renan Barão. Did that fight ever get... I think that fight got postponed. I don't know what's happening with that, but yeah, Moffitt out the UFC. Kilburn did lose to him there, and then before that, went on a 3-fight winning streak over at M1, Island Fights and Valor Fights. Just a lot of regional promotions over there. And yeah, Jacob Kilburn with the record of 8-3. All 3 of his losses do come by submission, though. The Billy Q loss was by triangle choke, the Bobby Moffitt loss was by Darce, and then his first loss was in 2017 to lose that one by rear naked choke in the 3rd round. So, but it's not like Jacob Kilburn's bad on the ground either, though. He's got some wins by submission as well. So yeah, this should be a really fun fight. Lingo and Kilburn, 2 guys who are good on the ground, good on the feet as well. And honestly, the prediction for me, though, comes to the power. And I think there, obviously, you got to give the advantage to Austin Lingo. I mean, you've seen those finishes in LFAs the last 3 fights before heading into the UFC. Dude was going out there and pulling off finishes in 20 seconds or less. So I think he's going to go back to those ways. You know, we see Austin Lingo in those fights in LFA. He'll just come out there, first 30 seconds, just throw everything. And yeah, I mean, it got him the finishes in most fights. Of course, the one fight that did go to decision was the Phil Gonzalez fight. In LFA in 2018, you won that one by unanimous decision. Again, the Youssef Zalal fight wasn't great, but you're fighting Youssef Zalal in your first fight, so really, there's nothing against that. And I think in this fight with Jacob Kilburn, Austin Lingo will have the power advantage. If it goes to the ground, I think he'll probably have the advantage there too. So yeah, we're gonna go with an Austin Lingo KO finish. Honestly, we'll say first round. Will he get it? Maybe. Hopefully, he can come back to his LFA ways. So next up at women's bantamweight, we have got Sarah Moras taking on Vanessa Melo. Let's start here with Vanessa Melo. And yeah, she's lost her last 3 fights. Given pretty tough fights. The Carol Rosa fight did lose by unanimous decision over on UFC 251. Before that, lost to Tracy Cortez by unanimous decision, and before that, lost to Irene Aldana by unanimous decision. I mean, the Aldana and Cortez fights, not easy fights at all. Obviously, Irene Aldana just got a spot in a main event of a fight night. She did lose to Holly Holm, but still, Holly Holm fought really well in that fight. Used her wrestling really damn well. But yeah, I mean, those were Vanessa Melo's first 3 fights in the UFC, and then before that, she won a pretty big run, I guess, 5-fight winning streak over in Brazil, won them all by decision, and she had 1 fight in China as well. But yeah, Vanessa Melo has not been great in the UFC, and yes, you can say the competition has been pretty tough for her. But the thing is, she's also had trouble making weight. 2 out of 3 fights in the UFC so far, the Aldana fight and the Carosa fight, she missed weight in both of those. She missed weight by 4 pounds in the first one and by 5 pounds in the Carosa fight. So just something to note. I mean, we'll see what happens. But again, Vanessa Melo is kind of fighting for a contract in this one. You could probably say Sarah Moras is too. But yeah, Melo has a really good ground game. She has 2 submissions. Those are her only 2 finishes ever. And yeah, she's got a pretty good ground game overall. Other than that, she's going to win it by decision. She's only been finished once in her career. That was back in 2012, her second ever pro fight. And yeah, Ariana Aldana and Tracy Cortez couldn't put her away. So she's very tough to put out. Submission game, her ground game is very good. Stand-up game, not the greatest. So yeah, that's Vanessa Melo. Let's talk about her opponent here, in the former Ultimate Fighter alum, in Sarah Moras. So Sarah Moras comes into this fight with the record of 6-6. Her last fight was in Jacksonville, Florida, on the Smith Teixeira card over in May. She did lose to Sijara Eubanks in that fight. Before that, she beat Liana Jojua. She won that one by TKO on UFC 242 in Abu Dhabi on the Habib Poirier card. Before that, lost to Macy Chasen by TKO over in Ottawa. Before that, lost another fight by decision. Before that, lost another fight by decision. That was to Lucia Pulduva. And then before that, she got a win against Ashley Evans-Smith. Lost to Jessica Andrade before that on Fight Night. Mir versus Duffy over in San Diego, California. Kind of forgot that one happened. I do believe Frank Mir won that fight. I mean, yeah, okay, he won the first round. A minute into the fight. That's pretty cool. And then before that, for Sarah Moras, she got a win on the Ultimate Fighter finale show over in 2014. And then on the Ultimate Fighter show, she got to the semifinals. She won 2 fights in a row, and then she ran to Juliana Pena, the eventual winner of that show. Lost that fight by guillotine because Juliana Pena's ground game is very good. And Sarah Morris's ground game is pretty good as well. But yeah, Juliana Pena's ground game is on a whole nother level. But she got submitted by Jeraine Durandamy. Yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty sure Juliana Pena is fighting on Fight Island. I do believe so. So, one of the next couple videos coming up in the next couple weeks, Juliana Pena will be on those as well. And then also, Moras and Pena fought back in 2012 with Sarah Moras getting the win there by TKO. Yeah, Sarah Morris's ground game is pretty damn good. I would say it is. I mean, that's really how she got to the Juliana Pena fight in the Ultimate Fighter. And then, of course, she does have the TKO finish recently against Jojua. And yeah, I mean, Sarah Moras, all around a pretty solid fighter. In this fight, again, I would say she's fighting for a contract. Over a record of 6-6. The UFC usually doesn't like fighters having negative records, so for 6-7, yikes. And I mean, recently she has not been great inside the octagon, but in this fight, I do believe she's going to get the win. I think she's better than Vanessa Melo. Yes, Vanessa Melo's ground game is good. Her stand-up game, though, not very good, and I think Sarah Moras is going to be able to exploit that, and I think she's going to keep the fight standing, and she's going to win this fight on the feet. Will she get a finish? I doubt it, but I'm going to say an all-around good performance in this one for Sarah Moras. Give her the decision win. Next up at welterweight, we've got Ramzan Emeev taking on David Zawada. Let's start here with David Zawada. So he's supposed to fight Munir Lazzez over in October. The fight never happened, so now he's, of course, fighting Emeev. His last fight in the UFC was in November 2019. He did beat Abubakar Nurmagomedov by triangle choke, so that was his last fight. Again, in 2019, that was in Russia on Zabit Magomedsharipov and Calvin Kattar. Before that, he did lose to Jingliang, who was fighting later on in this card by KO. And before that, lost in his first fight in the UFC by split decision to Danny Roberts. Before that, Zawada was fighting over in KSW. He got a lot of good wins there. He only lost, I believe, twice there. And won a pretty big winning streak, too, in KSW, one of the bigger promotions, not in the Americas. And yeah, for David Zawada, over a record of 17-5. Really good, man, all around. But for the most part, for Zawada, he is going to be a stand-up fighter. He's going to get a lot of finishes on the feet. He can go to the ground if necessary, but he's going to want to keep this fight standing against Emeev. Because Ramzan Emeev's wrestling and grappling is very good. So Zawada's definitely got to keep this one standing. If he's going to want to win this fight, got to stuff that first takedown to get the win. We'll see how it happens. But let's talk about his opponent here, Ramzan Emeev. So Ramzan Emeev's last fight in the UFC was a unanimous decision win over Nicholas Stolze over in Abu Dhabi. He won that one by decision, of course, on Whitaker and Till. Before that, he did lose to Anthony Rocco Martin, again in Russia on the Zabit Magomedsharipov and Calvin Kattar card. Before that, went on a big 3-fight winning streak to get into the UFC. The first fight being against Sam Alvey. So pretty good win your first fight in the UFC. Beating Sam Alvey by unanimous decision over in Poland on the Cowboy Cerrone Army and Darren Tilcard. Ramzan Emeev was the former M1 middleweight champion. Of course, now in the UFC, though, he is at 170. So, was the former middleweight champion over there in M1, went on a big, 8-fight winning streak to defend the title, I do believe 4 times over in M1, before vacating, of course, to go to the UFC, and then that one loss in the UFC is to Anthony Rocco Martin. Ramzan Emeev, very good on the ground, a very good wrestler, can get the job done on the feet, but I mean, his best way of winning this fight is gonna be to take this fight to the ground, use his sambo to his advantage, and beat Zawada on the ground. And I think that's how it's going to go. I think Ramzan Emeev still pretty good in his last couple of fights. The Nicholas Stoltz fight was a very good win. Won that one by decision. Really just dominated that fight. Of course, the former M1 champion in Emeev. The Anthony Rocco Martin fight was tough, but Anthony Rocco Martin is a pretty good fighter. You can't take anything away from that loss. And the Sam Alvey one, Sam Alvey is a very tough fighter to beat, especially in your first fight. So all around, man, it's been a good body of work for Ramzan Emeev. And I just think that the wrestling is going to be too much for Zawada. Now, if Zawada can keep this one standing, could be a different story, but again, you can't underestimate the submission skills of David Zawada. He does have 2 finishes in the UFC, or 1 finish in the UFC by submission, and then 1 in KSW as well by submission. But again, I just don't think it's going to be enough. So I'm going to go with the Ramzan Emeev decision win, just going to control the pace on the ground. So we've got our only heavyweight fight on this card. It is between Justin Badman Tafa and Carlos Boy Felipe. All right, let's start here with Justin Tafa. Last fight in the UFC was on the main card of a pay-per-view. Yeah, on UFC 247, he beat Juan Adams in his home state of Texas, or I think, yeah, no, Adams does train out of Houston, so yeah, it was in his home city, and Justin Tafa closed the show, won that one by KO in the first round. Juan Adams' UFC run, well, it didn't go well. He won his first fight, then lost to Arjun Singh Balar, then lost to Greg Hardy, then lost to Justin Tafa. Where is he now? PFL? I think he's somewhere. I don't know where Justin Tafa or Juan Adams ended up, but yeah, Justin Tafa did get that win. It was his first win in the UFC. Before that, he did lose to Yorgande Castro, got knocked down the first 2 minutes in that fight over on UFC 243 on Whitaker Adesanya, and before that had a couple wins over in XFC, was their former XFC heavyweight champion. All those fights were scheduled to go 5 rounds. They were all finished within 2 rounds, and him getting knockouts in all of them. So yeah, Justin Tafa has not won a fight without winning it by stoppage. All the stoppages are by KO, with the only loss being the Yorgande Castro fight. I mean, Tafa's 4-1, so he hasn't had that much experience. But the Juan Adams fight, it was a pretty good performance. I mean, Justin Tafa pushed him back into the fence, worked him, got the right, put Juan Adams to the ground. And if you can pressure Carlos Felipe, he's going to have a good chance. But Carlos Felipe is a very good boxer as well. Both these guys, pretty damn good boxers, so it's going to make it for an interesting fight. The thing with Justin Tafa is, really, we just haven't seen much out of him. Yeah, he's had 2 fights in the UFC, but like XFC, you just don't know. But I mean, the same goes for Carlos Felipe. 2 guys who are kind of unknowns, even though they've both had 2 fights for the UFC up to this point. Again, just a really interesting fight between 2 hard-hitting heavyweights. So that's Justin Tafa. Let's talk about his opponent here in Carlos Felipe. So the Carlos Felipe fight with Yorgande Castro, the co-main event. Yes, this was a co-main event on Home Aldana. It was just terrible. I mean, the fight just wasn't good. I mean, both of them just kind of stood there, didn't do much. I mean, Carlos Felipe got the better of him. It's just really nothing happened. His first fight against Sergey Spivak, he fought okay, but Spivak really just dominated the last couple rounds of that fight. It was a majority decision for Spivak. Carlos Felipe thought he got robbed. He didn't. Spivak won that fight pretty convincingly. And then, yeah, it was a weird, like, introduction to the UFC for Carlos Felipe because he took 3 years off of fighting. His last fight before heading to the UFC was in 2017. Yeah, and then all of a sudden, 3 years later, he gets a shot against Sergey Spivak. And I thought that was a big... I mean, I thought Sergey Spivak, like, definitely was going to win that fight, and he did. And I thought Yorgande Castro was probably going to beat Carlos Felipe. He didn't. And Yorgande Castro really hasn't done much since that Greg Hardy fight, or honestly, since he beat Justin Tafa, but I think Justin Tafa is better than he was in that fight, obviously. And yeah, for Carlos Felipe, he's got an over record of 9-1. Again, levels of competition he's fought haven't been great, except for Yorgande Castro and Sergey Spivak, but you can say the same, obviously, for Tafa. I mean, Tafa's 4-1, Felipe is, what, 9-1? 2 guys with not too much experience. This is going to be a stand-up fight. This fight will not hit the mat. It just won't. 2 guys who are boxers, they are heavy hitters. Basically going to be who can land the big punch first, but, I mean, we kind of saw that in the Yorgande Castro fight and Carlos Felipe. Both guys just kind of stood there, 2 of them just waiting for the counter punch. It never happened. Now, will Justin Tafa kind of sit there and wait for the counter? Not entirely. I mean, what we saw in the Juan Adams fight, he really wasn't doing that. He wasn't waiting, sitting at all after that loss to Ugande Castro, and Ugande Castro is a counterpuncher, and that's kind of, Tafa got too aggressive, boom, Ugande Castro caught him, put him down. And it just depends on how this fight is fought, because I just don't know. Will it be one of those heavyweight fights like the Ugande Castro and Carlos Felipe fight, or will it be like the Justin Tafa Juan Adams fight, the two guys just going there, and they're throwing. So you really just don't know. If this fight like kind of stays like the Felipe de Castro fight, I think Carlos Felipe would probably win. It's kind of a boring fight. Two guys just kind of standing there, and Felipe just outpointing his opponent. I think Felipe will obviously win that style. If these two guys just go out there and throw, I think Justin Tafa will probably win. Now, what do I think it's going to be? I think Justin Tafa is going to win. He's an underdog in this fight, but I honestly think Justin Tafa is going to have the advantage in this one. Now, will he be able to put out Carlos Felipe? I don't know, but everything that Justin Tafa has done before in the past shows that, well, if he's going to win the fight, he's going to win by KO, so screw it. I'm going to say Justin Tafa wins this fight by KO in the first round. We're going with yet another first-round finish for Justin Bad Man Tafa to put him up to a record of 5-1. So I really like this fight at middleweight. We've got Omari Akhmedov taking on Tom Breese. I think this is a really good fight. We're going to start with Omari Akhmedov here. In his last fight was a co-main event spot to Chris Weidman. He did lose that fight. It was a good fight, though. Weidman won the first round, Akhmedov won the second one, and then Chris Weidman 10-8'd him in the third round. Both guys were exhausted, but for good reason. A lot of people were hating on that fight. A lot of people didn't like the fight. I thought it was a very good fight. And yeah, Chris Weidman and Akhmedov were worn the hell out in the third round, but it's gonna happen. That style of fighting, constant wrestling, constant pressure, it is tough to wrestle for 15 minutes straight. I mean, it really is. It's tough to wrestle for 5 minutes straight. And that's what Weidman and Akhmedov did. Just pure grappling for the most part. Akhmedov did hit Weidman with a couple of shots, kind of tested the chin a little bit, because we knew Omari Akhmedov is a very good counterpuncher. He'll sit and he'll wait. And I was, I picked Chris Weidman in that fight, but I was scared that, Weidman's gonna get caught, Akhmedov is gonna catch him and then put him down. Because we know about Chris Weidman's chin. Now he's going to fight Uriah Hall. Actually, not a bad fight for Chris Weidman. We'll talk about that fight in a month. But yeah, Akhmedov did lose that fight by unanimous decision, but not a terrible fight, honestly. And before that, he beat Ian Heinrich by unanimous decision, beat Zach Cummings by unanimous decision, beat Tim Boach by unanimous decision, had a draw against Marvin Vettori. I believe I messed up the graphics, so if it says he doesn't have a draw in his UFC record, he does. I forgot that, my bad. But he did have a draw against Marvin Vettori over on UFC 219, Cyborg Home. Before that, beat Abdul Razak Al Hassan by split decision, and beat Kyle Noak by unanimous decision as well. Before that, lost a couple fights, won a couple fights. Omar Akhmedov's been in the UFC since 2013. His first fight was in November that year, and it was on Belfort Henderson 2 over in Brazil. Hey, he won Fight of the Night on the card. And yeah, Omar Akhmedov over a record of 20 wins, 5 losses, and 1 draw. And we know he's a really good wrestler. Former Sambo champion over in Dagestan, and he's got really good submission skills. But you can't forget about the power. Omar Akhmedov possesses a lot of power in his hands. He'll wait and he'll catch you with the big counter punch. Now, has he done that recently in the UFC? No, he hasn't knocked out a guy in the UFC since that first fight over on the Belfort Henderson card in 2013. But you just gotta watch out for it. He's got really good power, and sometimes he uses striking to set up the takedowns, and it works. So you gotta watch out for that for Omari Akhmedov. And again, we know how good the wrestling is, but he takes on a really tough opponent in Tom Breese. Now, Tom Breese's last fight was KB Buller. That was my big Hail Mary, long shot, underdog pick. It didn't work. KB Buller got completely dominated for the first minute that the fight happened. Tom Breese, pure masterclass in that fight. Put away KB Buller in the first round. Before that, for Tom Breese, he did lose to Brendan Allen, but Brendan Allen is very good. Did lose to Sean Strickland recently, but he got TKO'd in that fight with a big elbow on the ground by Brendan Allen. Before that, Tom Breese did beat Dan Kelly by TKO, lost to Sean Strickland before that by split decision over on UFC 199, Rockhold and Bisping. And before that, beat Keita Nakamura by unanimous decision over in London on the Silva Bisping undercard. And then a couple fights when he came to the UFC. First fight in the UFC was in May of 2015 on Carlos Condit and Thiago Alves over in Brazil, and Carlos Condit, of course, is fighting later on in this card. Tom Breese started his career 10-0 before running into Sean Strickland, and of course, the second loss is to Brendan Allen. So, I mean, two losses that are, I mean, they're not bad losses at all. Two guys who are very good right now in the UFC. And the KB Buller win, yeah, I mean, KB Buller, what do we know about KB Buller in the UFC right now? Not much, because he lost that fight against Tom Breese. Again, Breese was completely outclassed in that fight. Dan Kelly, I mean, what has Dan Kelly done recently? Yeah, wait. He hasn't done anything. Dan Kelly has not fought since he got TKO'd by Tom Breese over in Liverpool. I believe, yeah, he's not even in the UFC anymore, so I don't know where Dan Kelly's going to fight, if he's going to fight anymore, who knows. The other one to Keita Nakamura. Keita Nakamura has not fought in the UFC. Did he fight? Oh, no, he did fight in the UFC after the Tom Breese fight. I forgot. He fought a lot. But then, yeah, eventually he just got dropped by the promotion. Now he is in Ryzen. Just lost to Lorenz Lark in his last fight over there in Japan, in Saitama, Japan. And the other win, the other wins in the UFC for Tom Breese haven't been that incredible, just name value-wise. But now the performances have been very good. The Katie Bowler fight was very good. It was just a welcome to UFC fight. Tom Breese beat him up. Now, the wrestling for Tom Breese is not bad. He's okay on the ground. He hasn't gotten a finish on the ground in the UFC so far. His first couple fights in Bama and England were all by submission for the most part, so we know he's got the ground game. Now, against Omar Akhmedov, a guy who just really overwhelms you on the ground, who pushes a really high pace, it's going to be tough to do so, and honestly, that's why I think Omar Akhmedov wins the fight. I just think the wrestling is going to be too much. And yes, Tom Breese has very good submissions off his back, but the way Akhmedov fights is very hard to get submissions off your back. Akhmedov pushes a really incredible pace on the ground, and yes, you're probably thinking, well, okay, Akhmedov kind of just sits back when he's striking. Yeah, he's a counterpuncher. He'll just wait and he'll sit. But once he gets on the ground, it's very hard to get up. So, you're going to see Omar Akhmedov just kind of hang out on the feet and just kind of wait for the action to come to him. So you're going to see that a little bit. It kind of causes for some boring fights, but I think eventually Omar Akhmedov is going to get this one on the ground. I think he's just going to really just overwhelm Tom Breese down there. And I think Omar Akhmedov is going to kind of do what he did to Zach Cummings, limit the striking, get him to the ground, and win the fight. Because if Tom Breese can keep this one standing, he's going to have a good shot to win this one. I think he can just basically out-volume Omar Akhmedov, of course, if Akhmedov doesn't catch him with a big shot. But otherwise, I think Akhmedov just keep this one on the ground. I think he'll out-wrestle Tom Breese. And I'm going to go with the unanimous decision win for Omari Akhmedov. Next up, we've got Yanan Wu taking on Jocelyn Edwards. This is supposed to be Betch Correia, but she is now out of this fight. So Jocelyn Edwards is now in here. She's fighting out of Panama. It is her first ever fight in the UFC. Yeah, so she beat Pamela Gonzalez her last fight. Gonzalez is 3-4. She won by KO in 28 seconds. Before that, she fought in her only fight in LFA. She lost that one to Sarah Alpar by split decision. Which, alright, Alpar came to the UFC, got absolutely dominated by Jessica Rose Clark. Wasn't even a fight. And then Edwards before that won by armbar against Brenna Gonzalez. Had a couple of fights, in UCC. She hasn't been great. But she has picked up a couple wins, but she of course has been fighting over in Panama. Again, UCC is a promotion over there. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it real. Jocelyn Edwards is pretty much, she's an unknown at this point. Yeah, the Pamela Gonzalez fight is on YouTube. You can go watch that. It was a 28-second fight. She knocked her out in 28 seconds, and Pamela Gonzalez is 3-5. Yeah, there's just not much you can take out of that fight. So she fought basically a can. I hate using that expression, but it is. She fought a can, and she won. And the Sarah Alpar fight, really the only fight we can really take into account. Sarah Alpar didn't do well in her UFC fight. She just got, again, the Jessica Rose Clark fight was one of the biggest beatdowns of the year. Yeah. It was not good, and Edwards lost that fight to Alpar in LFA, her only fight in LFA, her only fight that was not in Panama, except, no, she did fight once in King of the Cage. She fought over there. In the main event of King of the Cage, she did win their championship over there by armbar, but yeah, it's King of the Cage. That was in 2018, so a damn long time ago. She then vacated the title. But yeah, let's talk about our opponent here in Yanan Wu. So for Wu, right. Coming into this fight with the overall record of 11-3. This is her first fight in the UFC since August of 2019, where she did lose to Mizuki Inoue. She lost that fight by split decision. Before that, she beat Lauren Mueller by armbar in the first round in 2018. So in November of 18, she did win on the Blades and Ngannou 2 card over in China. And then before that, she lost to Gina Mazzani. That was her first fight in the UFC. Was to Mazzani in 2017, again in China and Shanghai on the Bisping Gastelum card, where Michael Bisping took a fight 2 weeks after losing to George St. Pierre. So that was a thing, or I believe it was a little bit less too. I think that occurs on a Friday, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. And yeah, Yanan Wu, again, the record of 11-3 in the UFC. She is 1-2, and losses. Yeah, Mizuki Inoue, alright. Yeah, she's been fighting okay in the UFC. She did lose her last fight, though, to Amanda Lemos. And then the Gina Mazzani fight. Gina Mazzani's alright. She's 7-4 now. She beat Rachel Ostovich. Yeah, it's Rachel Ostovich. What do you want me to say? It's not like I picked Rachel Ostovich or anything. Yeah, not like I would ever do that. And yeah, I don't know, the Lauren Mueller fight was alright. Lauren Mueller was undefeated at the time. Now she is on a 3-fight losing streak, and I do believe she's out for UFC. I could be mistaken there, but I do not think she's no longer, I don't think she's in the UFC anymore. That's what I was trying to get out. But yeah, Wu was supposed to be fighting Betch Correia. I thought she was probably going to win that fight. Jocelyn Edwards, again, just pure unknown. I don't know what's going to happen here. Edwards, we know she's got a lot of power, and for Wu, we know she's got pretty good striking. She can finish fights. Most of her wins are by TKO, and I think she'll probably win this one. I'm not that confident at all of taking Yanan Wu in this one, but I think she's going to do enough here. I'll say probably decision win for Yanan Wu. Again, not confident at all, but we're going to go with it. So next up, we have got Phil Hawes taking on Nasruddin Imavov. Let's start here with Phil Hawes. Megatron's last fight, obviously Phil Hawes, was against Jacob Malkoun. It was his debut in the UFC, and he knocked out Malkoun, Robert Whittaker's training partner, in, 18 seconds. That was on the main card of UFC 254, Khabib and Gaethje, and that was his first fight in the UFC. Before that, Hawes fought over in the Contender Series, did win a fight there in the first round by TKO on the ground, and before that, got a couple wins over in Brave, and then actually had a win in Bellator as well against Michael Wilcox. Got that one done by doctor stoppage over in the summer of 2019 on Rory McDonald and Neiman Gracie. Also, Chael Sutton's last fight was on that card as well, so that's cool. And yeah, Phil Hawes also fought in World Series of Fighting a long time ago, and I mean a long time ago. Over in 2016, he fought over there. They gave him a shot after he fought on The Ultimate Fighter, I do believe. Yeah, he's on The Ultimate Fighter. He was on the Joanna Jędrzejczyk and Claudia Gadelha season of that, so he fought over there. And then World Series of Fighting picked him up after that. And yeah, I mean, we know Phil Hawes got a lot of power. I mean, those last couple of fights, oh my goodness, the Jacob Malkoun fight. I mean, it was the first punch he landed, just put Jacob Malkoun out. And the fights in the Contender have been good too. I mean, he knocked the guy down, then finished him on the ground. It's just, yeah, the dude's got a lot of power. I mean, like, you should not have that much power for being a middleweight. And he's got a lot of power. I mean, Nasruddin Imavov is very good as well, so let's talk about Imavov in this one. And for Nasruddin, his last fight was a win. His first fight in the UFC was against Jordan Williams. He won by unanimous decision, and we'll keep it real, wasn't that memorable. He won the fight, obviously, but Jordan Williams, yeah, he hasn't won a fight in the UFC either. He went 1-1 over in the Contender. He won a fight in Bellator. Yeah, actually, no, he went 1-2 in the Contender. Yeah, I mean, it was an okay win for Nasruddin Imavov, but yeah, he won the fight by unanimous decision. Before that, he won a big winning streak over multiple promotions over in Europe. Of course, Imavov fights out of France. Had a couple wins over there. Has won by key lock, so that's that. Yeah, I mean, overall for Nasruddin Imavov, pretty good on the ground, not bad on the feet either. I mean, yeah, he did beat up Jordan Williams. He beat him up on the feet. But again, unanimous decision win. It was only 2 months ago, so it was not that long ago. It feels like longer, honestly. That was on the Home Aldana card in Abu Dhabi. They were in Abu Dhabi 2 months ago. Yeah, it feels like a long damn time ago they were there. Yeah, they were just there 2 months ago. That's crazy. Yeah, over record for Nasruddin of 9 wins and 2 losses. Obviously, Phil Hawes has the same exact record, so that's cool, right? But yeah, I think Imavov has got a good chance of winning this fight. If he takes this fight to the ground, I think he's gonna have a good chance because Phil Hawes' ground game has not really been tested that much. I mean, really, we haven't seen him on the ground in the UFC yet. Yeah, he got a submission win over Brave. He got choked down in World Series by a guillotine. So there's that. I mean, I believe that was the last fight he was on the ground, other than that one fight in Brave where he did win by submission. So that's where Nasruddin's got to win this fight. It's got to be on the ground. Got to test the ground game of Phil Hawes. He's got to avoid that flurry at the beginning of the fight where that Hawes does throw. He tries to end the fight, and he did in the Malkoun fight and in that fight on the Contender as well. But I think, honestly, Phil Hawes is going to get the job done. I think he's going to. I think the power is going to be too much for Nasruddin in this one. And, I mean, everything we've seen so far at Phil Hawes shows he should do the same damn thing that he's done in the past. He should come in there. He's got a lot of damn power. And I think Phil Hawes is going to get the job done by KO. I'm going to go with another first-round knockout finish. You know me, I don't predict a lot of knockout finishes, but I'm going to do it. First-round KO, give it to him, Phil Hawes. So, someone's O has got to go. Punahele Soriano taking on Duško Todorovic. A very good fight here, man. 2 undefeated fighters. Duško coming into this one with the record of 10-0, and Punahele Soriano coming into this fight with the record of 7-0. This is a very good fight. This will most likely be on Dana White's. If you don't know, now you know. I can almost guarantee it. I mean, you just kind of like see these fights that will probably be on that one. I'm thinking it's going to be this one, Joaquin Buckley, and the Ponzinibbio fight against Li Jingliang. probably, those are going to be the next 3 fights that we're going to talk about here. They're all, or no, Soriano, the Soriano Todorovic fight is in middleweight, Buckley, Chirico middleweight, and then of course Ponzinibbio is down at welterweight fighting Jingliang. But yeah, so I guarantee this is probably one of the if you don't know now you know fights, because both these guys have a lot of power. I mean, it's just that simple. Dusko Todorovic last fight against Daquan Townsend, really good fight. I mean, for Dusko Todorovic. Daquan Townsend, now, okay, it was a good fight for Dusko, but what has Daquan Townsend done in the UFC? Exactly. I'll wait, again. Yeah, he hasn't done anything. What has he done? He lost to Dusko, lost to Devin Clark, lost to Pavon Lewis, lost to Dalcha Champion. He hasn't done much. It's unfortunate, but he really hasn't. Is Daquan Townsend still in the UFC? I'm not completely sure on that one. I would have to go look that one up. But I wouldn't be surprised if he did get cut. And then Dusko before that did win the Contender back in 2019, then won a couple fights in Serbia, and of course he won the Serbian Battle Championship. So there's that against Michel Pereira. So that's a really good win because Michel Pereira just beat Chaos Williams, a fight a lot of people thought he was going to lose. I guess they were even the odds, but still. Yeah, Dusko Todorovic does have a win against Michel Pereira. He knocked him out in the first round for the Serbian Battle Championship. And before that, he racked up a lot of wins over in Europe. So yeah, we know Dusko, very good boxer. Gets a lot of finishes on the feet. Not bad on the ground either, but I can almost guarantee you this fight's probably going to be I mean, I don't know. Punahele Soriano's ground game is very good as well. So let's talk about Punahele Soriano. For Punahele Soriano, his last fight was a while ago. It was on UFC 245, Colby Covington and Kamaru Usman. So yeah, it has been a while for Punahele Soriano, but he did get a win on that card against Oscar Peota. Won that one in the first round by KO, and before that was his shot on the Contender Series. He did beat Jamie Pickett on that one, a fighter who is now in the UFC as well, right? He beat Jamie Pickett by unanimous decision. Obviously, Jamie Pickett's first fight in the UFC didn't go great. He lost to Stefan Chukwi by unanimous decision over in December. And before that, Punahele Soriano also fought in LFA, with his last win being against Jonathan Patti. That was his last fight, of course, in LFA. He's a big favorite in that one. Minus 500 favorite. Oh my. Also, for Soriano, he did fight in PFL. 2017, a long time ago, did win there against John Gover. It was his second fight ever. He won that one by KO. I really like this fight. I really think Punahele Soriano's ground game is very good, but so you can say the same thing about Dusko Todorovic. The thing with Dusko, we really haven't seen the ground game as much as we've seen Punahele Soriano pull that off in LFA. He's really good on the ground, and that's where I would give the slight advantage to Punahele Soriano, is on the ground. Both these guys on the feet, I just don't know. This is honestly a very close fight on the feet. The odds about even on this one, as it should. Dusko is a slight favorite, but I'm gonna go with Punahele Soriano. The only reason I'm going with Punahele Soriano is just what Soriano's done in the past is a lot better than what Dusko has done. And yes, what has Oscar Peota done in the UFC? You're damn right, he's done nothing, but he does have 2 wins in the UFC compared to Daquan Townsend's 0. Again, MMA math, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't work like that. But I honestly like what Soriano's done in the past. I like the wins he's gotten. And I think his ground game is better than Dusko. Will it hit the ground? I don't know. It'll probably be a stand-up fight. And I think Punahele Soriano could probably put it on him. I think, honestly, the volume's going to be too much for Soriano. If he connects that big left hook, it'll probably put the lights out. And yeah, I'm going to go with the Punahele Soriano. I'll go with the decision win. Wouldn't be surprised if we're going to finish here by either guy. A lot of people are probably going to say there's going to be a finish to this one, but I think Soriano going to be able to outpace him, outwork him, outvolume him. So I'm going to go with the Soriano decision win. So another really good fight here, man. I like this one. Joaquin Buckley, Alessio Di Chirico. A very good fight here at 185. I mean, we'll talk about it. Alessio Di Chirico, I mean, I'm just concerned for him this fight. I'm gonna keep it real with you. I mean, I said in the past, I'm not big on the Joaquin Buckley hype. I kind of am now after the Jordan Wright fight. Now, I thought Joaquin Buckley was gonna win that fight because we've seen Jordan Wright's chin before and really doesn't hold up that much. And his boxing compared to Joaquin Buckley, it just doesn't compare. But again, I mean, it was a good win, the Jordan Wright fight. The Impact Kasanganay fight, what can I say? Knockout of the year. Now, did I think Kasanganay was winning the fight before that? Yeah, I mean, it was pretty close, but still, that was a close fight. But yeah, no, I've kind of bought into the Buckley hype now, but I don't like the matchup here for Di Chirico. I think Buckley's just gonna, I'll say it right now, I think Buckley's gonna run right through him, but I will talk about it. Alessio Di Chirico, it kind of feels like one of these fights are just feeding to Buckley. Because, I mean, the last 3 fights for Di Chirico, Zach Cummings beat him up on the feet. I mean, he beat him up. This one was Smith Rockich. I remember this fight vividly. And Zach Cummings beat him up. The very oh god, it was like the last 30 seconds of that fight. Caught him with a big spinning kick. Dude, it should have been a knockout. I mean, that fight should have been called a knockout, but they went to decisions, and obviously that comes from the fight. But, I mean, he caught with a huge spinning kick at the very end of the third round. They didn't end the fight, but still, Zach Cummings, pure domination that one over to Chirico. He's on a 3-fight losing streak. The fight before the Cummings fight was over in Copenhagen, Denmark. He did lose to Akhmedov Marudov by unanimous decision, and before that, lost to Kevin Holland by unanimous decision over in Moicano and Korean Zombie over in, I think that's in South Carolina, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, Greenville, South Carolina. That is the hometown of Stephen Wonder by Thompson, I do believe. But yeah, Chirico, and then before that, he beat Julian Marquez. Again, Julian Marquez, what has he done recently? Well, he hasn't fought. So, yeah, he's supposed to fight Safarov. Fight never happened. Yeah, he's going to fight Maki Pitolo on the pay-per-view. UFC 258, Usman Burns. Not too hyped about that Usman fight. We'll talk about that one in a couple months. Or I believe next month. And then, yeah, the other one for Chirico. I mean, yeah, it's just... The resume's not great. He lost to Eric Spicely, too, on the ground. This fight will not hit the mat. Joaquin Buckley... I mean, yeah, his striking's really good. And yes, Chirico's got some pretty good striking. Can he catch Joaquin Buckley? Definitely, but it's going to take time. I think Buckley's really just going to push him on this one. Or he's just going to push the pressure. He's going to push him back into the fence. Like what he did to Jordan Wright. I mean, the Beverly Hills Ninja did not stand a chance in that one. Let's just talk about Buckley in full now. So yeah, the Joaquin Buckley fight against Jordan Wright, I've said it before, very good fight for Joaquin Buckley. The Songanai fight, we know what happened, spinning back kick. Now, the Kevin Holland fight, he got beat up. He got beat up in that fight. Kevin Holland was talking to him the entire fight. The big mouth nickname that Dana White gave him just came into effect in that fight. But Kevin Holland's a top 10 fighter in that weight class. And at the time, yeah, Kevin Holland was going on his run, but like, we didn't know how good Kevin Holland was at that time. We really didn't. Now we know, okay, Kevin Holland, that dude, okay, I might be hyping him up too much here, but I kind of want to see him fight Adesanya at this point. And no, I don't want to see him, don't want to see that fight right now, but if Kevin Holland can beat a couple more guys, honestly, I mean, hell, there's some fights for Kevin Holland. If he can keep going on that big run, he was talking crap to Adesanya after he beat Charlie Ontiveros. Hey, fight might actually happen. Now, is Adesanya ever going back to 185 after he fights Jan Blachowicz? It just depends if he wins the fight and if he wants to fight Glover Teixeira, because Glover Teixeira fight is pretty tough for Israel Adesanya, I'm not going to lie. Again, one of these fights we're going to talk about in about 3 months. But yeah, the Joaquin Buckley, lost to Kevin Holland was not good, given he took that fight on, what, like 3 days notice? The last second replacement on Lewis and Olenek. And then before that, he fought in LFA, had a lot of fights in Bellator. He did lose to Logan Storley, which, Logan Storley, a really good wrestler, he wrestled in Minnesota for the Golden Gophers. Did he get third in the, I believe. He placed really high, though, in the NCAA championships. But yeah, Logan Storley did lose his last fight in Bellator by split decision. If you don't know, Logan Storley, very good wrestler. And yes, this is a Buckley fight in, what, 2018? It was a long time ago. It was in Missouri, of all places. Nothing against Missouri. That was on Michael Chandler. That was a Michael Chandler card. And yeah, Buckley just got dominated in that fight. He just did. Logan Storley pushed the pace on the ground, just out-wrestled him. But that's what Logan Storley does. Now, do I think Alessio Di Chirico is the wrestler Logan Storley is? No. Do I think he's going to do I think Di Chirico is going to take down Joaquin Buckley? No. Do I think Joaquin Buckley is going to knock out Alessio Di Chirico? Yeah, it's going to happen. Probably going to go first-round knockout here for Buckley. Another first-round knockout. It's just one of these fights that's set up for Joaquin Buckley. It's set up for Buckley to fight James Krause next. I think that's all the fight. That's the fight we kind of all want at this point. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why that fight's not happening right now. I feel like it should be next. So yeah, we're going to go with the Joaquin Buckley first round knockout here. Bring him James Krause. That's a real interesting fight. Yeah, we'll see how that one goes. Honestly, that one can go either way. But again, this is Buckley's night. So, a really good fight. Li Jingliang, Santiago Ponzinibbio. Ponzinibbio's finally back, and I am damn excited. I am so excited for this one. Ponzinibbio, Li Jingliang. There was a time and place where Santiago Ponzinibbio was supposed to fight Kamaru Usman in 2018. Not Kamaru Usman in 2020. Kamaru Usman in 2018. Man, I think Ponzinibbio could have won that fight. I was pumped for that. I believe it was supposed to be in Chile. Yeah, because Damian Maia ended up taking the fight. And Usman just dominated Maia wrestling. But man, would I have wanted to see a Ponzinibbio and Usman fight? Holy hell, that would have been fun. Ponzinibbio, though, did get hurt, and then eventually he fought Neil Magny in the main event of an Argentina card, won that one by KO in the 4th round. But, I guess, hell of it. We'll start with Santiago Ponzinibbio. He hasn't fought in a damn long time. It's that simple. He's not fought in a while. He fought Magny in 2018, before that, 2017. He was very active before then, but he's been very hurt. I mean, he's been injured a lot, honestly. He's supposed to fight Robbie Lawler over on UFC 245 in December of 2019. He had to pull out that fight because he had a staph infection. And then he's supposed to fight Muslim Salikov in this fight, but Salikov contracted the disease, I will not say, from monetization issues. But he gets Li Jingliang in this fight, which is kind of a step up. I mean, Muslim Salikov throws a lot of crazy stuff, and that would have been a fun fight. But I like this replacement here. And then Ponzinibbio, I mean, the dude has not lost since 2015, and take your guess on his last loss. Yeah, oh wait, Lorenz Larkin. He got TKO'd by Lorenz Larkin in Hollywood, Florida on Yoel Romero and Lyoto Machida. I forgot that fight happened, the Romero and Machida fight, but that was a co-main event. He got knocked out by Lorenz Larkin. And don't you know, Lorenz Larkin is currently on a 4-fight winning streak over in Bellator. Yeah, he just beat Keita Nakamura. I mean, I didn't know the dude's only 34 years old. He fought in Strikeforce. Like, okay, that's crazy. Yeah, going back to Ponzinibbio, though. That was his last loss, was Lorenz Larkin, and before that, beat Sean Strickland. He has a lot of good wins. He's been fighting the UFC since 2013. He only has 2 losses. One was his first fight against Ryan LaFleur, and then the Lorenz Larkin fight. It was just a damn long time ago, though, and Ponzinibbio is a different fighter. Now, how will he come back after these injuries? I don't know, but, I mean, what we saw out of Ponzinibbio, that run he went on, I mean, think of the names. Okay, Court McGee, Zach Cummings, he beat Talib, he beat Gunnar Nelson too, Mike Perry, Neil Magny, back to back. Those are some good wins, man. But don't count out Li Jingliang in this fight. I know Ponzinibbio is a heavy favorite, but you just gotta think though, he hasn't fought in over a year. It's just one of these things we don't know. Let's talk about his opponent here though, Li Jingliang. So, Jingliang's last fight was against Neil Magny on UFC 248. That was, oh yeah, it's Adesanya Romero. So yeah, he hasn't fought since March. Seems like just a couple weeks ago, or a couple months ago, honestly. But yeah, the Neil Magny fight did lose by unanimous decision. Before that, did beat Eliseo Zaleski dos Santos by TKO over in China on Andrade Zhang. Before that, beat David Zawada over in Beijing. And then before that, won a fight against Dachi Abi. And then before that, lost to Jake Matthews. But I mean, Jake Matthews fights all the damn time, so what the hell? I mean, you get a different Jake Matthews, it seems like, every time he fights. For keeping it real with ourselves here. And then before that, beat Zach Otto, Frank Camacho, a couple wins in there. Beat Diego Lima. The UFC's Diego Lima, obviously. And yeah, I mean, Jingliang's been fighting the UFC since May of 2014. It seems like a long damn time. But yeah, he's been fighting since the Renan Barão and TJ Dillashaw fight, where TJ Dillashaw shocked the world. He was a, what, plus 800 underdog? And he won that fight? Crazy stuff. Back when Dana White was saying Renan Barão was the pound-for-pound, the UFC's pound-for-pound greatest fighter. Yeah, in an era of John Jones and Mighty Mouse Johnson. Well, that was before Mighty Mouse really kicked off. But I mean, yeah, John Jones was a fighter, and Renan Barão was the pound-for-pound GOAT. Okay. Or greatest at the time. Different story for another day. But yeah, Li Jingliang, he did lose to Keita Nakamura, too. I mean, that was a while ago. That was on, was that in the Philippines? No, it was in Japan. That was on Barnett Nelson. Yeah, that's a long time ago, 2015. But yeah, for Li Jingliang, does he have a shot in this fight? Yes, he has really good striking. Do I think he's going to win the fight? No. Santiago Ponzinibbio's striking is just, I think, too good at this point. Ponzinibbio, yes, he's had a year off, but again, I just going back to the striking, man. Both these guys are very good strikers. Ponzinibbio's striking is very crisp. And the Neil Magny fight was a 4-round, just a really damn good performance for Ponzinibbio. Just outclassed Magny for 4 rounds. And Jingliang did lose to Magny his last fight. Again, MMA math does not work like that. It doesn't at all. It's a matchup-based sport we live in, but still, I think Ponzinibbio, the win over Mike Perry, was dominant too on the undercard of Lawler dos Anjos in Winnipeg. The Gunnar Nelson fight, main event in Scotland, dominated, KO in the first round. I think Ponzinibbio, will he get KO in this one? It's hard to knock out Li Jingliang. He's never been knocked out, so I don't think it's going to happen. I'm going to go with the decision win for Santiago Ponzinibbio, but if anyone's going to put out Li Jingliang, it's going to be Ponzinibbio. Will it happen? No. I'm going to go with the Ponzinibbio decision win. Alright, so I like this fight, man. Co-main event, we've got Carlos Condit, Matt Brown. This is a good fight. I like this one. 2 of the older fighters in the UFC going at it, and it's a good fight. We're going to start here, though, with the underdog in Matt Brown. Last fight, Miguel Baeza, he ran into a really good fighter. Miguel Baeza is going to be a really good fighter. Trust me. Fighting out of MMA Masters over there. He's training. His main sparring partner is Colby Covington. I mean, the dude is going to be good. Miguel Baeza, trust me, just wait a couple years, Miguel Baeza is going to be in the top 10. Just you wait. Maybe this year Miguel Baeza is going to be in the top 10. That fight against Takashi Sato, incredible. No one was watching because it was during the Mike Tyson-Roy Jones Jr. fight, but I was watching. It was a good fight. Okay, I'm not going to kid myself. I was paying more attention to the Mike Tyson fight, but still. So back to the Miguel Baeza-Matt Brown fight. Miguel Baeza just pieced up Matt Brown. The fight was over in the first round. They came back out in the second round. Baeza put him down in 10 seconds. Now, did Matt Brown have his moments in that fight? He really didn't. Miguel Baeza just, I mean, I don't know how else to put it. Miguel Baeza destroyed him. Matt Brown beat Ben Saunders before that. What has Ben Saunders done in the UFC since then? Nothing. He hasn't fought since. Is he still in the UFC? He's not. The UFC didn't re-sign him. That's pretty tough. Will Ben Saunders fight somewhere else? I doubt it. And then before that, Matt Brown beat Diego Sanchez. What has Diego Sanchez done recently? Nothing. He beat Mickey Gall. Sure, Mickey Gall might be the worst fight on the UFC roster. I'm sorry, potentially might be. Actually, no. They re-signed Mike Jackson. Oh my goodness, they did. Hold on. Okay, go on a quick rant. Why did they re-sign Mike Jackson? The dude beat CM Punk. CM Punk, I'm a wrestling fan, but it doesn't matter. He beat CM Punk. Dana White says he's never going to get a chance in the UFC again. The dude could have finished him in the second round. It was a decision. Oh my goodness, why is he back? That's a story for whenever that fight is. I don't really care. I might just skip that fight with the Mike Jackson fight. I don't even know who he's fighting. Just might skip it. Just say he's going to lose. I don't know. Back to Matt Brown again. So yeah, he lost to Cowboy the fight before the Diego Sanchez fight. UFC 206 in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. That was a Max Holloway, Anthony Pettis fight for the title, or interim title back then. Lost to Jake Ellenberger, lost to Damian Maia, beat Tim Means, lost to Johnny Hendricks, lost to Robbie Lawler, and before that, that's when Matt Brown went on his really big run back to fighting for the title, and then ran to Robbie Lawler, missed weight in that fight, and just hasn't been the same since, because they gave him Johnny Hendricks afterwards. And yeah, Matt Brown only fights killers. I mean, the dude, the 22-17 record, yes, it's kind of salty, but I mean, he's fought almost everyone. I mean, given what, Randy Couture has a 19-11 record, and he's one of the greatest of all time. So you can't put anything into those records. You really just can't. Yeah, I mean, Matt Brown, his striking still kind of there. Yeah, he beat Diego Sanchez, and yeah, Ben Saunders. Yeah, I mean, he won those fights. The Miguel Baeza fight kind of showed, well, if you have a really good boxer in there, Matt Brown's going to get dominated. And Carlos Condit looked pretty damn good in his last fight. So, let's talk about Condit, though. So, I've always liked Carlos Condit. I really have. I've always liked Carlos Condit. And, I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I think I've said this before. I thought he beat Robbie Lawler in that fight over at January 16. I thought he won the fight. I thought he should have been the welterweight champion. But since then, man, Condit has been great. The Damian Maia fight, he just got taken down immediately. Maia took back, body triangle, fight over. It was the main event on Fox. It just nothing happened. He lost the fight. After that, he gave him Neil Magny, lost that. Gave him Alex Oliveira, lost that. Gave him Michael Chiesa, lost that. Tough fights, though. But it felt like he was fighting for his contract, his last fight. The Court McGee fight was on the prelims. Yeah, the ESPN card was on the prelims. Like, they put Kyler Phillips and Cameron Else on the main card, and they put Condit on the undercard. I felt that was a little bit insulting. But the Natural Born Killer just destroyed Court McGee. Now, okay, when I say he destroyed him, maybe. I mean, 30-27s across the board, I do believe. if I'm not mistaken on that one. Condit put it on Court McGee in that fight. He really did. Now, was it prime Carlos Condit? Definitely not. But did he look very good in that fight? Definitely. Condit fought a very smart fight in that one. And I like that Carlos Condit's not going in there. He's going to have to fight, like, I'm glad he's not fighting a guy like Miguel Baeza. Fighting a young guy. I mean, I like that he's still fighting the more established names, and this is just the perfect matchup for both these guys. Now, would I want to see the loser retire in this one? It depends. I mean, I think if Matt Brown kind of loses, kind of feels like, all right, it's kind of time to hang it up. Same with Carlos Condit, really, but Condit, I mean, dude, Condit looked good in that damn Court McGee fight. And yes, what has Court McGee done in the last couple of years? Not much, but he's fought killers too. I mean, he fought Alex Garcia, Diego Lima, and then I think he fought Sean Brady after that. I mean, he's fought some really damn good fighters. And Condit, again, put it on him. How do I think this fight's going to end? I think Carlos Condit's going to knock out Matt Brown. Yeah, I said it. I just don't think Matt Brown's chin's there anymore. And yeah, he's only been knocked out 3 times, but they've all been recent. The Jake Ellenberger fight, it was a body kick, but still. The Donald Cowboy Cerrone fight, for me, was kind of when Matt Brown felt like he was kind of done. And I know he won 2 fights after that, but it's Diego Sanchez and Ben Sanders. What do you want me to say? And I think Carlos Condit's gonna be able to take advantage of it. Do I think he's gonna knock him out? Probably not. But I think it's just gonna be all Carlos Condit on the feet. I think it is. I still think Carlos Condit. Will he make a run at the title? Definitely not. Is he still a top 15 fighter? I think he might be. Now, am I hyping him up too much here? Yeah, probably. But a win over Matt Brown here. Get him this win. Hell, maybe he'll take Diego Sanchez's last fight. Oh no, don't do that. Maybe. Or maybe Conor McGregor will take the Diego Sanchez fight in Ireland on ESPN. Or hell, put it on ABC. Jokes aside, though, I think Condit gets the dub here. Goes on. I don't want to see him fight the younger guys. I honestly don't. I want to see him fight more of these Matt Brown type fighters. This fight, it feels like a Condit win. I wouldn't say domination, but I think he wins this fight on the feet. I'll go 30-27. Unanimous decision for the natural born killer, Carlos Condit. It is time. It is time for the main event of the evening. We've got the former 145-pound champion in Max Blessed Holloway. Some people say should be the champion right now. I could probably agree with you on that one. Taking on Calvin Kattar, the up-and-coming fighter in the top 5. Oh my goodness, is this a good fight? I really like this one, man. I mean, two of these guys, both of them, looking for a title shot. The winner of this fight could be next for the title. If Calvin Kattar wins, new matchup. If Max Holloway wins this fight and Brian Ortega beats Alexander Volkanovski, boom, there you go. You can do the rematch between Ortega and Max Holloway, because Max Holloway beat Brian Ortega in their first fight predominantly. Yeah, so this is a really good one. Let's start here, though. Let's start here with the New England native in Calvin Kattar. We know Jon Anik's going to say that. Let's go over under. Oh, if you're watching this right now, put this in the comment section down below. You think Jon Anik says New England, Boston, Massachusetts, something like that. I mean, one of the Calvin Kattar, he's just classic Jon Anik lines. You think over under, put this in the comment section down below, 6 times. Do you think he mentions New England, Massachusetts, the Northeast? How many times? I'm saying over 6. I think he will. On the entire main card portion, I think he goes over on that. I mean, that's just one of the classic, oh, Calvin Kattar, the pride of Massachusetts. This is one of those things. Hell, they put a line in the video game of Jon Anik and Daniel Cormier where Jon Anik says, oh, wow, he's throwing great shots out here. He's like Tom Brady. And then Daniel Cormier says something like, you got to bring him like Boston or Tom Brady into everything. I don't know. The Bucks are winning the Super Bowl, by the way. Yikes, they're playing the Saints, actually. I don't know about that one. Yeah, I'm scared on Sunday. But Calvin Kattar, right, he beat Dan Ige the last fight. First time going 5 rounds because the Zabit Magomed fight was not 5 rounds. And if it was 5 rounds, I'm going to say it. I think Calvin Kattar would have won the fight. But the Danny Ige fight with Calvin Kattar, really good fight for Calvin Kattar. Now, the judges were kind of closer than I think it should have been. I think 2 judges had it 48-47, and the other one had it 49-46. I had it 49-46, pretty decisively. I thought you could have made the case for 50-45. It was a good fight. I mean, Danny Ige shows that he should be a top 10 fighter, but that was all Calvin Kattar. And the Jeremy Stephens fight, oh my goodness, the elbow he caught him with, absolutely insane. Put down Jeremy Stephens. It's hard to do that, man. The Zabit fight, I've expressed my feelings on that fight a lot. I think Calvin Kattar would have won the fight if it was 5 rounds. It was 2-1. I think he would have won 4 and 5. Zabit was gassing in that fight. And it's one of those things. I want to see Zabit in a 5-round fight. Will it ever happen? Who knows? Because Yair Rodriguez is dealing with USADA now. Who is Zabit going to fight? Give me the zombie fight with Zabit. That's a good fight. It will test Zabit everywhere. Because, hell, I mean, Zombie's ground game is good too. Just give me that fight, please. But Calvin Kattar, Zabit, another fight that's actually that's been rumored for a rematch, but Max Holloway fight's good too. I think Kattar would have won that fight with those 5 rounds in Russia. The Lamas win, very good, knocked him out. Chris Fishgold fight, very good, knocked him out. Moicano did lose that fight by unanimous decision, and before that, he beat Shane Burgos in a very good fight in Boston, Massachusetts, over on UFC 220. That was, of course, Stipe Miocic and Francis Ngannou, and then his first fight in the UFC, a win over Andre Fili, which isn't, I mean, it's pretty hard to do. Your first fight in the UFC, get Andre Fili. He won that one by unanimous decision. We know Calvin Kattar's boxing is very good. He's got very heavy hands. The way he put down Jeremy Stephens was with the elbow, but still, he's got a lot of power. Calvin Kattar is a very good fighter. A lot of entertaining fights come out of Kattar. And yeah, I mean, expect a really good one this one. I think someone's going to get knocked down this fight. I really think it's going to happen. Yeah, I mean, Kattar, the power that man brings, though. It wasn't enough to put away Dan Ige, but he was close to putting out Ige in the 5th. He really was. Ige was on the ropes in that one, or it's a boxing expression, but he was almost done. So that's Calvin Kattar coming into this fight at the record of 22-4. Again, the 2 losses in the UFC. Zabit, a fight he would have won if it was a 5-round main event, but it was a main event that was 3 rounds. It was terrible. And then the Moicano fight. I mean, what you gonna say? Moicano fought that fight really well. UFC 223, Khabib and Al Iaquinta. All right, that's Calvin Kattar. Let's talk about his opponent here in Max Blessed Holloway. So, Max Holloway, the last fight, Alexander Volkanovski. I thought Max Holloway won. I picked Alexander Volkanovski. I thought Holloway won that one pretty easy, 3 rounds to 2. Don't know what the judges were watching, but they gave it to Volkanovski again. Spoiler alert, I think Brian Ortega beats Alexander Volkanovski whenever that fight does happen in what are we thinking, May? I mean, that's going to be a while till we get that fight, apparently. I don't know, but I thought Holloway won the second one. I thought Volkanovski did win the first one, though. I really think he did. Now, was it very close? Yeah. Could have gone either way, definitely. Usually one of those cases where it probably goes to the champion. It didn't. One of the judges had it 50-45. Don't see that. But yeah, I thought Volkanovski won the first. Holloway won the second. Thought we should probably be getting a trilogy by this point. Not getting it. The Frankie Edgar win from Max Holloway was pretty good. Won that one 49-46. The only round Edgar did win is when he took Holloway down. He barely had him down, though. I mean, Holloway just kind of chilled there. I think it was the 4th round that Edgar won, if I'm not mistaken. Holloway was already up 3-0 at that point. Whatever. The Dustin Poirier fight for Max Holloway at 155. It's something that's been discussed if, say, Volkanovski does beat Brian Ortega and Holloway does win this fight against Calvin Kattar, if they do not decide to do the trilogy, because, say, maybe whoever the winner of potentially, I don't know, Zabi and Zombie gets Alexander Volkanovski and maybe goes back to 155. I mean, he's lost to Dustin Poirier in the past. That was for the interim belt. Now, if Poirier beats Conor and he's fighting for the title, yeah, I mean, that could be a fight for Holloway again, going back up there. The Jose Aldo fight's very good, both of them pretty dominant. I mean, we didn't really see anyone do that to Aldo because, yes, Aldo at the point did lose at the time. Did lose to Conor McGregor, but that fight was 13 seconds. And, yeah, the narrative around that fight at the time after Aldo did lose to Conor was, well, yeah, Conor's good, and there was a lot of hype on Conor at the time. But the Conor haters and the people didn't think Conor McGregor was that great. Was, well, okay, he caught him with one punch. They do a rematch. Aldo wins. Fight never happened. It happened with Aldo and Conor, but Aldo ended up winning the interim belt. Frankie Edgar eventually got promoted to the actual champion, and then Max Holloway beat him twice for the gold. And then before that, Holloway beat Anthony Pettis, and then before that fight, we're getting to a long time ago. Actually, the Ricardo Lamas fight, go watch that. UFC 199. It is on the main card of Michael Bisping and Luke Rockhold. Very good fight. I mean, honestly, it's just worth it to watch the last 15 seconds of the fight where those two guys, Max Holloway points to the ground, and they just throw haymakers. Like, no caution to win. Like, they just throw it. It's a fun last couple seconds of the fight. And then I guess I gotta bring it up. The Conor fight, I mean, just because Conor was in 2013, it was in Boston, it was on Shogun Chael Sonnen, and yeah, Conor beat him by unanimous decision. It was, Max Holloway was so young at the time, just like the Dustin Poirier fight. He was like, what, 21 at the Poirier fight? Lost that one by triangle armbar. It was on UFC 143. Long time ago. That was headlined by, yeah, Nick Diaz and Carlos Condit. Alright. So yeah, Max Holloway, we know the striking is good. Will this fight end up on the ground? No, this is a stand-up fight. I think someone gets knocked out. I really think they do. I mean, yeah, we saw Calvin Kattar put it on Dan Ige, and he still couldn't knock him out, but I think this time it's either Kattar knocks out Holloway or Holloway knocks out Calvin Kattar. I don't see this one going to the judges. I really don't. Even though, yeah, both these guys' last fights did go to the scorecards, I think we're going to get a finish here. And this is probably the hardest one of the entire card for me. It really is. There's been a lot of tough ones. I mean, yeah, I don't know. There's been a lot of tough fights this one, especially that Akhmedov Tom Breese fight. That was a really close one for me, and Soriano and Dusko. But this one's the toughest one, because Calvin Kattar, coming off a lot of good wins, man. This is a beat fight. Again, I thought he would have won it if it went the distance. If it was a 5-round fight, if it was an actual main event, I thought Calvin Kattar was going to win this fight. This is a #1 contenders fight for Calvin Kattar. It is. If Calvin Kattar wins the fight, he is going to face the winner of Alexander Volkanovski and Brian Ortega. If Max Holloway wins, who knows what happens. I'm going Max Holloway, though. I think Max Holloway is going to win the fight. I think he's going to knock out Calvin Kattar. I'm going to say in the 5th round. This is going to be a tough fight. This is going to be an exhausting fight because both these guys throw a lot of damn shots. They both have really good paces. Like, both these guys throw a lot of punches. But I think Max Holloway, we've seen him go 5 rounds before, and yeah, we've seen Calvin Kattar go 5 rounds before too, but I think Max Holloway is going to get the best out of Calvin Kattar in this one. Does it feel like a kind of fight that Calvin Kattar will probably win because he's a champion coming off 2 title losses, and a fight that a lot of people thought Holloway won the last one? It kind of does feel like that, honestly, but I think Max Holloway is going to get the job done here. I'm going to go 5th round knockout. This is going to be a tiring fight. This is going to be an exhausting fight, but I think Max Holloway wins. And yeah, the Blessed era is not over yet in the 145-pound division. Where does he go from here? I mean, I have already said what Calvin Kattar does if he wins. He's going to get the title shot. Max Holloway, He's going to get a title shot. Brian Ortega beats Alexander Volkanovski. If Volkanovski wins, I doubt he gets a title shot, and they'll probably turn to the winner. I'm hoping this fight happens again of Zabit and Korean Zombie. And then I would say probably Max Holloway would probably fight Brian Ortega if he loses to Volkanovski. So actually, I think he fights Brian Ortega no matter what. If Ortega loses to Volkanovski, he fights Brian Ortega. If Ortega beats Volkanovski, fights for the title. That's what happens to the Max Holloway win. So yeah, that's gonna do it, folks, for our UFC Fight Night preview and predictions. Again, if you have not yet, go check out the Greedo MMA channel. The same video is going to be posted on the Greedo MMA channel with a different intro. But yeah, we're going to get some new, different content on there. I'll probably be reviewing some of the main cards after they actually happen on those, because I really don't get a chance to talk about it on this channel, because I really don't want to mix it up. I got a lot of gaming on this channel. I want to split the two. Again, these preview and predictions are going to stay on this channel for the most part for a long time, and then we're going to do more exclusive content, MMA exclusive content on the MMA channel. Hey, might do some Bellator, One Championship, other stuff, Ryzen, who knows? I'll think of it, and maybe the PFL season that's coming up as well. I don't know how that one's gonna go though in a bubble, but yeah, just go make sure check that one out. Thank y'all for watching, folks. We'll be back later on, maybe later this week, because we got 2 more cards coming next week with Michael Chiesa, Neil Magny, and then of course Connor, Dustin Poirier. Oh my goodness, am I excited for that? And I didn't mention there are fans back for this, so that's cool. For this Max Holloway Calvin Kattar card. So again, folks, thank y'all for watching. If you have not yet though, make sure to subscribe button down below for more. Don't forget about the second channel as well. Again, thank y'all for watching, and Mamba forever.